And now, it's time for another Dice Tower review with Tom Vasel.
Hey everybody, I'm Tom Vasel, and today we're taking a look at a game from Pandasaurus called Sonora. Now, this is a flick and write game. It's touted as the first flick and write game. I don't have anything to say otherwise, so it probably is. You are flicking discs in this game, using where they land to score on a piece of paper that you have. So there are many games we consider roll and write, like Yahtzee. You roll dice and write down what happens. This is what this one does, although this one has a lot going on in it. It's smaller probably than the box would lead you to believe, but it's bigger than the fact that it is a flick and write might lead you to believe. Sounds like a paradox, not quite. Here's how it plays. In this game, each player is going to have 5 discs that you're going to be used to shoot on this board, to flick on the board, and players are also going to have a score sheet with 4 different sections matching the 4 sections on the board. So players are going to take turns, starting with the start player each round, and you're going to flick 2 of your discs off of your corner here, trying to get them into different spots. If you manage to get it into this middle area here, you'll immediately take it off the board and place it on one of the 4 sections of your choice. So it's possible you could get all 5 of your discs in here. Once all the discs are on the board, so you'll do 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 1, 1, 1, 1. Once all the discs are around the board, you're going to score based on the number of the disc and where it is. Most of the discs will score if they're in an area. If they're on 2 areas, whichever area they're more in, if you can't tell, you pick which of the areas. But there's also bonus sections on the board. So for example, you see this bird one here. If I'm touching that at all, that would count as if I'm in the bird section over here. If I'm touching the rabbit one at all, that would count as if I'm in the rabbit section over here, but it counts as a double disc. So they're better, but they're for a different area than they're in. On a player's board, they also have things where you'll be able to switch 2 discs on the board and or re-roll. You start with one of each of those and you can get more of those over the course of the game. But let's talk about the different areas. This top area here with the lizard here, this is the only area in the game that is essentially players are fighting for control over it. So when you put a disc in this area, you're simply going to take the number on the disc, let's say it's 5, you'll pick one of these and you're going to cross off that many. The first person to cross off every one of these in a section is going to get the top number of points. Everyone else would get the next lower number of points on there. So the first person to get this one gets 21, everyone else gets 19. But the first person also gets a bonus. So sometimes the bonuses will give you something in another area. Sometimes it will give you one of these re-rolls or swap disc tokens. So there's various bonuses. So this one, you're just trying to be the first one to fill up each of these different sections here. So you can decide to go for smaller sections that you can finish quicker, or bigger sections which might take longer but offer a lot more points. In the Fox section, depending on the number of the disc, you are going to be drawing a Tetris-like shape here. So if I have a 3 disc, I could draw this shape or any of the smaller ones. There's already a shape that's crossed off here on the board, this square here. So let's say I do this, I could basically fill in this. Once, whoops, that one actually doesn't touch, but maybe I built a little square here first with another number. Then I build this one here. And so you have to fill these shapes in this grid somehow, some way. And what you're trying to do is you're trying to enclose these different cacti that are on the board. The more of each one that you enclose, the more points you'll get for that cacti at the end of the game. And of course you can get other bonuses by enclosing those bonuses, which will work on the other sections. In the eagle section here, whatever number you have, let's say my number is 3, so then I would say, okay, so I'm going to cross out 1, 2, and then circle 3. That's worth 1 point. Then maybe I got a 5. So I go 1, 2, 3, 4. I could take that 2, or I could take that fox and get the bonus points there. But the farther down you go, you can see that there's higher points here at the bottom. And if you use smaller numbers on this one, you can more efficiently move down and get more points. You're going to get points equal to the things you circle and or the bonuses that are on here. And then finally, the rabbit section here. You're going to use the total number of points to cross off these different nexus points here. So let's say I have 5. I could cross off this 2 and this 3 here. I start with this one already crossed off. As soon as you have 3 crossed off, or as soon as you have 2 cross off, you draw a line, and for every triangle, you'll get whatever's enclosed in them, which could be bonuses, but all the little black ones are worth 2 points at the end of the game. Those cacti are worth 4 points, and these are worth 6 points at the end of the game. So as you fill in more of these, you'll be adding more triangles, and the farther you go out, the more points you'll get. If you have leftover points here, let's say I have 7 points, and so I do this 5 here. I have 2 left over. You can cross off squares in these, which will give you more bonuses when you fill those in. There's a little more to it than what I just described, but that basically gives you an idea of how the different sections work, and they are interconnected with each other. So far, the markers that came with the game are fine. In fact, I like the fact that this is one of the few roll and writes at this point that come with the game, the stuff already pre-laminated. So you have 4 of them. They're double-sided. As far as I can tell, they're the same things on both sides, but it just in case, I guess, one side gets messed up. This board here sits in top of the box. You can see underneath there's a spot to put everything. And so this is actually a pretty big box considering what you have. And yet at the same time, the discs are a little small. I don't mind the discs. The flicking here is fine. Now they have an advanced rule where you can't flick into your own section, the one that's right in front of you, unless you flick hard enough that it comes back. You would have to bounce it off another wall and then make it land here, which is a little trickier to do. So we usually play with that advanced rule because otherwise you can just, drop all your discs right into your own thing. These are neat, these little bonus spots, but I will say the one negative I have here is I can never remember when I look at them, like this is the eagle, it matches this section, but that doesn't necessarily look like that. Yes, I can look at my own board here and see eagle matches this, but as weird as it sounds, I have to look at this, look at this, look at this, then back to this. I almost wish the eagle just had been a dark blue here, so I remember it went with the blue area, because the rabbit is blue, but he doesn't go with that area, he goes with this area. Minor things, but it just, again, that would have been something I would have liked to see differently. Other than that, the components are fine. I love flicking games, but I'm awful at them. And so to that end, I would argue here that the flicking part of Sonora, that perhaps you could get good at it. You definitely could get good enough to be able to flick a disc into the middle if you want to, anytime you want to. Although I would argue that flicking it into the middle is not as good as flicking onto one of those bonus spots. Other than that, the flicking to me felt fairly random. Even though I could make it land in the section I wanted to land in, for the most part, to flick it onto one of those bonus spaces, very difficult, and even if I do get it there, the chance of someone knocking it off is pretty high. So I don't think so much about that. It's more of let's flick them, try to get them to where you want them to go, and then concentrate on the sheet itself. And the sheet itself, where you fill in, there's 4 different sections, they feel like 4 different mini games, and I'll tell you that part of it is one of the best parts of any roll and write game. Lots of roll and write games, you roll dice, you write the numbers in. Here I felt like I was playing 4 fun games. Attach the vertices of triangles, put in the little Tetris shapes, go down this thing and color in the circles. The area control one, which we've seen stuff like that before. Roll Through the Ages had that in it. But having all 4 of them, you want to pick 1 or 2, maybe 3 of them and concentrate on those. If you do a little bit in each, you'll get points in everything, but not oodles of points. So I usually try to pick 1, go really hard in that one area, whatever it might be, and then use the bonuses from that area to kind of spill over into the others. It's very interconnected. The symbology is a little more than I would prefer, maybe in this style of game, but I felt like the flicking disc part is silly fun, and then you take that and play a pretty gritty, I'm calling it roll right, but it's flicking right, game that beyond that. It scales pretty well. There is also solo play included in the box, so you can try to score the highest score that you can, but it works really well. Like I said, I wonder that the box might be too big. Also, I love this cover. I'm not sure it tells me what the game is about. But that being in mind, if I was making a list of the best roll and writes out there, even though this is a flick and write, this would be probably on that list. I enjoyed it. It was entertaining. The flicking of discs was fun. But it was that scoring sheet, when I'm filling that out, that is where the true fun, the true strategy of the game lies, and I enjoyed it quite a bit. That's Sonora. I'm Tom Vasel. We'll see y'all next time. Dice Tower Judgment approved.